But here's the thing, your journey, your shine, it shouldn't dim anyone else's light. Yes, it may trigger envy, but that says more about them than you. And if they're struggling, try empathy, not blame. In Jungian psychology, the term envy takes on a deeper meaning. It's not just discontent over someone else's success. It's a reaction to one's own unlived possibilities. The person who envies you isn't angry at you. They're angry at themselves, at the life they haven't lived, the dreams they buried. It's a pain they don't know how to soothe. So they lash out. You become a lightning rod for their internal turmoil. Your achievements, instead of inspiring them, remind them of what they perceive as their own failures. But how do you navigate this? How do you handle friendships or partnerships where the spotlight seems to trigger this kind of negativity? The key, according to Jungian principles, is understanding that envy is a call for wholeness, a plea from the envious person's shadow self to heal. They need to integrate their neglected aspects, confront the parts of themselves they've denied. As for you, set healthy boundaries, offer support without judgment, and recognize that sometimes people need to walk so that they can encounter their own shadows and return stronger, not spiteful. Don't take it personally. Your light isn't meant to diminish anyone else's. It's meant to illuminate the world. Trust me when you really get this. Your relationships will never be the same. And that same goes for betrayal. It's rarely what it seems. There's always an undercurrent of something brewing inside the other person. Maybe you've experienced a surprise betrayal recently. You trusted this person, maybe even loved them, and then they did something that shattered that trust, leaving you hurt and questioning everything. Well, here's something to consider. They didn't choose you to betray. They chose to betray. The act of betrayal was inevitable for them. It was something they needed to do, not something they wanted to do to you. Jung believed that acts of betrayal aren't random or impulsive. They're often the result of unresolved emotional issues and unconscious patterns. The person who betrayed you didn't just wake up one day and decide to act against you. It was a long time coming. They were carrying a heavy burden inside, a darkness that ate away at their psyche until it forced its way out. And in that moment of darkness, you became the casualty. You were simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. But here's the thing to remember. You don't have to stay there. Don't let this experience define you. Because here's the secret truth. Betrayal, no matter how painful, is an opportunity in disguise. It forces you to confront the darkness in relationships, and it reveals the truth about the person and about yourself. It allows you to redefine your boundaries, your values, and your trust. And when you come out of this experience, you'll carry a new strength, a deeper wisdom, and a resilience that only comes from facing the darkest corners of human nature and choosing to rise above it. Betrayal is the sculptor, as Jung might say, chipping away at the false, revealing the true, and in the end, it's you who holds the masterpiece. If you got this far, please leave a comment so I know you got the message. Don't forget to stay tuned for part 2, where we'll talk about how to spot red flags in real time. Jung believed in an intricate dance between our conscious and unconscious selves. Our conscious mind paints a picture of who we are, what we believe, our hopes and dreams. This happens when we see in another person something we deeply desire: success, love, peace, or even just a sense of purpose. These are the hardest betrayals to see coming because they were carried out by people who know exactly what they are redoing. That's what we'll explore in part 2. Jung believes some individuals construct false identities. They build masks they wear to get what they want. These masks allow them to present themselves as kind, loyal, selfless, or whatever will get them what they need. But the moment you're no longer beneficial, the mask slips. Think about someone in your life who, whenever they needed something, be a shoulder to cry on, money, validation, or connections. But the moment you needed them, they vanish worse. They twisted the narrative, turning you into the bad guy when you had done nothing wrong. That supposed friend, well, Their friendship was a transaction. Their kindness a performance. It was never real, it was conditional. Betrayal cuts deep, it shatters your trust and breaks the illusion of safety you had built in your relationship. It forces you to confront the harsh reality that some people only showed up when it benefited them. It raises questions that shake you to your core. Did they ever really care? Was I just a means to an end for them? And with this kind of betrayal, there may not be an answer. And sometimes, betrayal is driven by unconscious emotions or hidden motives. It's born out of a desperate need for control. Jung believed that some individuals feel secure only when they're the ones in charge. So as you grow, succeed, or become more independent, they feel threatened. Suddenly a supportive boss becomes overly critical. A friend who once pushed you forward turns distant. A partner who once believed in you starts sabotaging your decisions. It's not personal, it's a reaction to the shifting power dynamics. The betrayal is their way of pulling the reins back in. But instead of feeling inspired, our shadow self reacts with envy and resentment. Now here's the twist. This envy doesn't always reveal itself openly. It hides, it festers. It corrodes and it strikes when we least expect it. It hides behind fake smiles, passive-aggressive comments, backhanded compliments, and subtle emotional withdrawal. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you've decided to take a break from your social media and just focus on your life. You're building better habits, spending time in nature, reading more, and just being more present. All of this makes you feel great. It's more focused, more at peace, and more connected to who you truly are. But then a friend enters the picture. Someone you thought was genuinely happy for you, was excited about your journey. But after hearing about your decision to take a break from technology, they make a snarky comment like, "Oh, must be nice to have all that free time." At first you laugh it off. It seemed like a harmless joke. But over time you notice a shift in their behavior. They start making fun of the things you're reading. They mock the hikes you're taking. They're always busy whenever you invite them to join you. You begin to feel isolated. What once felt like a breath of fresh air becomes a burden. Your newfound peace turns into anxiety. You start questioning your decisions. And before you know it, you're pulled back into the same cycle you were trying to escape. This isn't a coincidence. Your growth triggered something deep within your friend, something they couldn't face. So, instead of being happy for you, they retreated into their own shadow self, letting envy and resentment take the wheel. But beneath this conscious surface lies our unconscious. A vast landscape filled with hidden emotions, memories, and instincts. This unconscious is not a dark, scary place, but rather a rich source of wisdom and creativity. However, Jung warned that certain elements within this unconscious, which he called the shadow, can wreak havoc if left unchecked. And one of the shadow's most destructive creations is betrayal. In Genji and psychology, betrayal emerges when our shadow self takes root in our relationships. Not every betrayal is born from unconscious resentment. Some are cold, calculated, and deeply manipulative. Recognizing these patterns, especially in real time, is key. But how can we be vigilant without becoming cynical? How can we trust again without ignoring red flags? How do you spot a betrayal before it happens? How do you recognize the early warning signs that someone who you once trusted is quietly harboring thoughts of doing you wrong? Well, according to renowned psychiatrist Carl Jung, betrayals aren't random acts. They're often preceded by subtle cues that indicate a shift in the way someone views your relationship and their place in it. So let me ask you this, now that you understand where betrayal comes from, whether it's envy, insecurity, or a need for control, the real question becomes, how do you spot it before it happens? Because let's be honest, most betrayals don't blindside us because there were no signs. They blindside us because we ignored those signs. We excuse the passive-aggressive comment. We overlook the subtle withdrawal. We rationalize the change in tone or the weird energy. Why? Because we didn't want it to be true. But denial is expensive. It costs us our peace, our trust, and sometimes years of connection with the wrong people. So, let's talk about what those early warning signs actually look like and how you can start seeing them clearly. 1. Emotional shifts that don't add up. You ever had someone in your life who suddenly felt off? They used to light up around you. Now they barely react. They used to be excited about your good news. Now they change the subject. They used to make time for you. Now every plan feels like a chore. When you ask if something's wrong, they say no. I'm just busy or worse. They act like you're imagining things. Listen, energy doesn't lie. Behavior doesn't shift without a reason. People rarely go cold without something brewing beneath the surface. Resentment, jealousy, or even a growing emotional distance they don't want to admit. Start paying attention when the vibe doesn't match the words. To passive-aggressive support. This one is sneaky. You share a win. Maybe a promotion or a personal goal. You crush hand instead of a genuine. That's amazing. You get wow. Must be nice, dang. Your lucky hope at last. It's masked as a compliment, but it stings. That's not support. That's envy wrapped in sarcasm. Or maybe they start teasing you in ways that don't feel playful. Oh, look at you. All successful now, it's said with a smile. But underneath is a message. I'm not okay with how much you've grown. Real support doesn't mock. Real friends don't have to undercut your joy to feel better about themselves. 3. Shifting loyalty. When someone starts getting closer to people who don't have your best interest at heart, or worse, who vocally disrespected you, it's a red flag. A friend who starts cozying up to your rivals. A colleague who leaks your ideas. A partner who suddenly gets secretive about who they're texting. You may not have proof of betrayal yet, but you can feel the shift in loyalty. Jung believed that our relationships reflect our unconscious dynamics. When someone starts aligning themselves with people who compete with you, they may already be moving into a mental space where betrayal is being rehearsed. Betrayals are rarely impulsive. They're usually premeditated in the mind, long before their voice directed upon. Pay attention to these early signs, because understanding them is the first step to protecting yourself and your peace. Betrayal hurts, especially when it comes from someone you never saw it coming from. But recognizing the signs of envy, insecurity, and control issues can help you navigate relationships more wisely. Remember, addressing these issues early on can prevent them from escalating into full-blown betrayal. So, have you experienced betrayal? What were the warning signs you noticed? Continue the conversation in the comments, and if you found this helpful, please share it with others who might benefit too. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. They say betrayal is the highest form of disrespect, and that's a hard truth to swallow. The pain of betrayal cuts deep, deeper than any harsh word or action. Carl Jung was right when he said, the greatest threat to our well-being, and the well-being of our society, indeed of all civilizations, is the betrayal of the person in whom we trust. You can try to be the best, most honest and loyal person in the world, maybe spending less time with people who drain you. Suddenly, that person starts making you feel guilty. You've changed, you don't care like you used to. Jung warned that some people create entire personas, false selves designed to appear safe, generous and kind. But it's all strategy. They don't stab you in the back. They just stop catching you when you fall. You can try to glue the pieces back together, but there will always be cracks. Instead, focus on seeing clearly. Betrayal can shake your belief in humanity, but Jung reminds us that every ending brings new beginnings. By understanding the subtle signs of betrayal, you're arming yourself with awareness. You're choosing to see through the illusion and focusing on what truly matters. Remember, your resilience is your greatest strength. Betrayal may leave scars, but it shouldn't define you. As always, if you found this helpful, please share for more insightful mental health videos. Let's continue the conversation. Maybe they forget to pass on a message that could have helped you. Maybe they plant little doubts in your mind before a big decision. Maybe they give you bad advice knowing it might trip you up. It's betrayal wrapped in concern. I'll say, and that's trying to help, but you feel it in your gut that something isn't right. In your gut, it's almost always right. These are the people who know how to play loyal. They give you compliments, attention, even support, but it's all conditional. They're loyal when you're useful, when you align with their image, when you benefit their story. But the moment you challenge that narrative, or outshine them, or stop feeding their ego, the betrayal begins, and it's quiet at first. They distance themselves, they talk behind your back. They sow little seeds of doubt in others about you. Eventually the mask drops and it hurts. Because it wasn't just a loss of trust. It was the loss of who you thought they were. I guess your new life is more important than
Translation:
old friends. I don't like that I can't control you anymore. When people use guilt to pull you back into a version
You've
of yourself,
outgrown,
it's not about love. It's about control. When that control doesn't work, betrayal often follows. But there will always be those who twist the truth, shift the blame, and manipulate situations to make themselves look better. Take a hard look at who you show up and who shows up for you. Betrayal often happens when you've been loyal to someone who's only been loyal to what you offer. Your time, your energy, your resources. Think about that friend who always calls when they're in crisis but disappears when you need support. Or that coworker who takes credit for your help but never gives you credit in return. Or the partner who expects you to understand their every mood but shuts down when you need space. These are not equal relationships, they're transactional ones. When you're no longer giving, the loyalty disappears at the end of the day. They can't deal with their own mistakes, so they attack you to deflect. Now this doesn't mean you should live in fear. It means being wise enough to recognize this game and not let yourself get manipulated. Because when someone you trust breaks that trust, it leaves scars on your soul. You noted that sometimes the biggest betrayals come from those closest to us, from the very people we trust with our most vulnerable selves. Notice any fake compliments, like recently, backhanded compliments, disguised as compliments. People who tend to resort to sarcasm or backhanded usually remarks feel threatened by your growth. They may not want to admit it, but your progress triggers their insecurities, pushing them to belittle you through disguised jabs. Now this doesn't mean you should let it affect you. It means understanding that their actions stem from their own unresolved issues. Someone goes from being warm and friendly to cold and distant, seemingly out of nowhere. It might be a sign that their true intentions were never aligned with what they were saying. This sudden shift from open to closed off could indicate a desire to suddenly push you away. Perhaps to protect themselves, or maybe to cause you harm. It's a silent form of betrayal, a closed door in the middle of what used to be a close relationship. Today, we're diving into a topic that's both painful and crucial wisely, to navigate, especially in these uncertain times. We'll be discussing 7 sneaky signs that point towards betrayal. 1. Playing the blame game. Okay, take a moment to think about the people in your life, friendships or relationships, where there's a pattern of shifting blame to sudden freeze out. Ever experienced this? The warmth of friendship or camaraderie suddenly replaced by an icy silence. 3. Backhanded compliments. For weaponized guilt. Sometimes betrayal doesn't come through attack. It comes through emotional manipulation. Let's say you've been growing, healing, setting boundaries. 5. One-sided loyalty. 6. The false lie mask. This one is tough to accept because it usually involves someone you really trusted. 7. Sabotage in disguise. Sometimes betrayal is obvious. It's not a dramatic betrayal, it's subtle sabotage. So, dealing with betrayal is like trying to mend a broken mirror. Let's be real, betrayal stings. It's not just someone lying or breaking their promise. It's the shattering of trust. The realization that someone you believed in, someone you opened up to, was never who you thought they were. And that hurts. But here's the part most people don't tell you about the relationship, about the future you imagined. I thought they were different. I thought we were closer than that. I thought I mattered more to them. Betrayal has the power to leave us bitter, jaded, disillusioned. It's easy to look at the person who hurt us and think, you know what, screw them. Screw everyone, done with people. But if you do that, the betrayer wins twice. Once when they hurt you, and again when they steal your capacity to love and trust. After all, isn't that what they did? They broke your trust so they could win. If you let that bitterness consume you, you give them power over you still. So don't. Instead, channel that pain into wisdom. Remember, as Carl Jung believed, every wound, every shadow holds the potential for transformation. You don't need to become colder. You need to become clearer, more intentional about who you trust, more observant of people's patterns, more willing to walk away from relationships that drain you or hold you back. Use this experience to refine, not define you. You weren't just grieving the person. You're grieving the role they played in your life, the fantasy, the hope, the dream. But as with any wound, Physical or emotional, the first step to recovery is acknowledging it. Not ignoring it or letting it fester. Be honest about what happened, how you feel, and what you need to do next. Reach out to friends, family, or professionals for support. And above all, be patient with yourself. Healing isn't linear. There will be good days and bad days. Some days the pain will feel fresh and raw. Other days, you might think you're doing well until something somewhere, sometime reminds you of what was lost. And that cycle is okay, it's part of the journey. The key is to keep moving forward, not for anyone else, but for yourself. Not to prove anything to them or anyone else, but to prove to yourself that you're stronger, wiser, and more resilient than you ever imagined you could be. And that, my friend, is what it means to rise from betrayal. But here's the truth. The version of them in your head never truly existed. Not because you were delusional. No, because they had layers, complexities you didn't see or didn't want to see. Because to do so would have made them less appealing. And maybe that's what fantasies do. They help us overlook red flags, ignore warning signs, and convince ourselves that the person in front of us is better than they actually are, more than they're capable of being. The first step to healing is letting go of that fantasy, accepting that the person you thought you knew only partly existed, that the connection you cherished wasn't as strong as you felt it was, that the future you envisioned wasn't meant to be. It's not about forgetting all the good times. It's about acknowledging that those moments coexisted with a deeper truth you didn't see at the time, or maybe didn't want to see. As painful as betrayal is, it can be one of the most powerful turning points in your life. Not because you deserved it, not because you needed to suffer, but because it wakes you up. It strips away illusions and forces you to see people and yourself with clear eyes. After betrayal, we tend to get stuck in an endless loop of why. Why would they do this? What did I ever do to deserve this? How could they turn on me like that? But here's the hard truth. Sometimes, you won't get the answer you want, cows, even if they told you why. It wouldn't make the pain disappear. It wouldn't undo the breach of trust. It wouldn't bring back what was lost. So, instead of searching for answers, ask yourself, what now? Because that's the only thing you have control over. What do you want to do with this experience? Boundaries need to be set. What truths did this betrayal uncover? Parts of you need healing. The why keeps you stuck. What now sets you free? So, the real question, and why did this happen? What do I do now? Here are 3 things to remember. No. 1. Let go of the fantasy. Someone betrays you, they shattered the story you told yourself about them. No. To stop asking why. Ask what now. No. 3. Don't let it turn you bitter. Healing from betrayal takes time. There's no quick fix, no magic words. Do you feel betrayed by a friend? A family member, someone you loved? My heart goes out to you, because betrayal cuts deep. No one betrayal often comes from those you least expect. We tend to think of betrayal as something that happens in movies, distant tales that could never touch us, but the reality is far more sobering. It often comes from the closest quarters, from those we trust, from those we consider friends or family, that we ignored our gut when it was screaming at us to pay attention. This isn't about blaming yourself. It's about empowering yourself. Ask yourself, where did I ignore the red flags? Eventually you'll start to heal. You'll smile again, trust again. Laugh without the weight of betrayal shadowing every interaction. But here's the difference. This time you'll see things more clearly. This one's tough, but it's the truth. Betrayal isn't a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of the betrayer's unresolved self. Their fears, their insecurities, their ego shadow self. You were just the mirror, the trigger, the reminder of what they couldn't face in themselves. So don't internalize their actions as a definition of who you are. You're not unworthy, you're not too much. You're not naive for believing in someone. You're human, and now you're wiser. You'll recognize fake support faster. You'll call out manipulation without hesitation. More courageous, more honest about what and who you allow into your life. So, when betrayal knocks on your door, don't let it make you smaller. Let it make you sharper. Observe more deeply, trust more wisely, and walk away from those who can't honor the value of your loyalty. Because here's the truth, the right people, the ones who truly care, will never betray you. They won't compete with your light. They'll protect it, and that's how you build a life rooted in truth. respect, and real connection. You'll be slower to give your trust, but when you do, it'll be from a place of choice, not desperation. There's more transformational content coming every day. Stay wise, stay whole, and we'll see you in the next one. That's what real strength looks like. You don't become invulnerable, you come intentional. What behaviors did I excuse in the name of loyalty? What parts of myself did I silence to keep the peace? Then take that insight and turn it into stronger boundaries, not walls but gates. Gates that open for people who show up with respect, consistency, and truth. This is a harsh truth, but an essential one to know. It shows you who you are without the illusion, who they are without the mask, what you value most in relationships. It reminds you that trust is sacred and that not everyone deserves it by default. It teaches you the power of discernment, of listening to your intuition, of choosing your circle not by history or convenience, but by integrity. The people who survive betrayal and come out stronger, they don't just get over it, they grow from it. They use the pain to upgrade their standards, their self-worth, and their relationships. Not everyone with a smiling face has pure intentions. Not everyone who seems close is truly in a lie. The irony of betrayal is that it often originates from those we least expect, leaving us shattered and questioning everything we thought we knew. This is one of the most important shifts betrayal teaches you. Loyalty is beautiful, but only when it's mutual. You can't keep pouring your energy into people who aren't pouring anything back. You can't keep defending people who wouldn't defend you. Can't keep being loyal to someone who would trade you for convenience. Start asking, who's showing up for me when I have nothing to offer? Those are your people. It's the ones who don't flinch when you win. The ones who stay when things get hard. The ones who celebrate your growth instead of competing with it. Those are the people who deserve your loyalty. Those are the people who will never betray you. But I want you to consider something. Maybe this experience, as painful as it is exactly where you need to be. It challenges your resilience, your ability to bounce back from the unexpected punch life has your way. It makes you confront a part of yourself you might not have known existed, a strength born out of adversity. But here's the beautiful thing. When you emerge from this testing ground, you do so with a newfound understanding of your own strength, a strength that wasn't forged in fire, but tempered by it. Why? Because betrayal has a peculiar way of stripping away all illusions, revealing truths you might have buried under loyalty or love. It's a harsh teacher, but an essential one. And if you allow yourself to learn its lessons, it can lead you to a level of wisdom and strength you've never known. So here are 8 things that only those who have been betrayed understand. Number 2. Betrayal tests your resilience. When betrayal hits, it tests the very core of your being. No. 3. Betrayal can expose toxic attachments. Sometimes betrayal is a blessing in disguise, exposing toxic attachments that were masquerading as relationships. These are the people who brought nothing but negativity into your life, who seemed like friends but were secretly envious of your success. They were there to pull you down, not lift you up. Betrayal in this case is like a spotlight, highlighting their true colors and allowing you to sever ties with those who were never truly on your team. No, for reflect on your boundaries. Sometimes betrayal reveals that we were to open with the wrong people, that we gave too much benefit of the doubt. No. 5. Find the lesson and the gift. As strange as it sounds, betrayal often comes bearing a hidden gift. No. 6. Rebuild, but wiser. No. 7. Know who deserves your loyalty. No. 8. Remember, it was never about you. Final thoughts. Betrayal will always hurt, but it doesn't have to break you. It can build you. No. It can make you more discerning. If you got something out of this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.